Hey, good morning. We are going to start looking at the Battle of Little Bighorn today, which was a major event in U.S. history in the far west. So let's dive into it. This is going to help you kind of have a setting for what we're going to be reading about today. Here we go. So, during the decades following the Civil War, U.S. is going to have a ton of conflicts with native tribes in the West. When we talk about West, we don't mean so much California, and we don't mean so little as here in St. Louis. So we're talking about kind of the stuff between those two. More in particular, it's kind of the Northwest. So we're looking at Oregon and Washington is going to be kind of some remnants there. We're really looking at like Montana, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, parts of Colorado, and as far south as even parts of New Mexico and Arizona. We're going to see a lot of conflicts kind of happening in this part of the country. Historians, of course, kind of inaccurately call these the quote-unquote Indian Wars. Probably a more correct terminology would be like Native American Wars, but hey, historians. The whole idea of Indian people stuck way back when. Looking at these wars, the main reason they're happening, here's an example. This picture is showing you like Nebraska and the various different treaties that were made and then slowly over time were also broken. So the primary issue of these wars was really land, as you can see here. The U.S. government's going to make several treaties with Native American tribes. However, one of the biggest problems the tribes had was that more and more settlers are going to continue to move not only through their lands, but also some are going to decide to build homes, start farming, and settling on land which was given to these native tribes. And to make things worse, instead of having the U.S. government support the native tribes and police it and prevent people from settling here and essentially stealing their land, the government would regularly, not only in Nebraska, but a lot of these states in this area, kind of just ignore the treaty or not enforce the laws or just say, oh, there's a new treaty. That is an old one. And which is going to lead to a lot of conflicts, like we were saying at the top. So Native Americans are going to end up fighting the U.S. military for decades. Each decade's 10 years, by the way. So over the next like 20, 30 years after the Civil War, you see a lot of fights and little battles. Ultimately, though, long term, Native Americans are going to be overwhelmed because the U.S. Army is going to start sending more and more numbers, larger armies, and not only that, but they're going to have a lot of modern technology, which the Native Americans are going to struggle to compete with. So if you think of today versus then, it's like a local person who owns guns trying to go against the United States Army with tanks and planes. It's going to be kind of hard. The Native Americans did have some victories in battles, however. Not many, but they did have some. And one of the most famous ones, which these two pictures are depicting, is the Battle of Little Bighorn, which happened in Montana. And at the Battle of Little Bighorn, what's the big details? Well, it happened June 25th, 1876. Civil War veteran George Custer, I think he was a colonel, is going to attack over 2,000 Sioux and Cheyenne warriors. So he was basically overly confident. A lot of military people said he was a bit of a fool, if you will, for engaging in this battle because he only had 100 men. Even though he may have had a little bit more advanced technology, he didn't have the numbers to actually win this battle. So before you kind of think that like these Native Americans are your stereotypical bows and arrows, no, they have guns as well. They have rifles. So they're not just traditional idea of like riding horses, shooting bows and arrows at them. No, these Native Americans also have some modern weapons. They may not be the latest and greatest, like Custer's men. They're going to have the Winchester, which has the lever action reload, because these guys are going to be cavalrymen. They ride on horses. But in the end, Custer and all of his men were killed fighting these Native American warriors. And there's a lot of like propaganda in this time period for both sides. The natives see it as a huge victory, and the U.S. government sees it as a massive slaughter. And it's going to actually kind of lead to more people joining the military to go out west. So today, what you're going to start looking at now is you're going to get 3 different documents, and your job is to work with the partner and read through them. One of them is going to be a textbook excerpt. Another's a letter from, I forget who it's from, but it's to a president of the United States. And a third one is a kind of reflection from the 1920s of a native descendant who's kind of reflecting on the legend and story that was told there. So that's what you're going to be starting today. When you finish working with your partner and answering questions, there will be a question for you to finish tonight or at the end of class, which you will see on Google Classroom. So to review, you're going to get these 3 documents. You can work with a partner nearby. Your questions are going to be answered on Google Classroom. I made a doc for you to type your answers. And then near the end of class, you will see a homework assignment posted related to this as well. And that will be you answering a question, or you will see. Just read the directions. All right, have a good day, and I will see you when I see you. Adios.